Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
Enrollees in the government's health insurance program will soon face tighter requirements when adding family members to their plans. A new final rule from the Office of Personnel Management will expand the verification process for insurance enrollees. It's an effort to reduce spending on ineligible participants. Here with more details is Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for being here.
Good to be with you as always, Terry.
Ineligible participants, how long has that been an issue for federal health programs?
We've been hearing about this from inspectors, general offices, the Government Accountability Office since at least the early 2000s. Ineligible family members on federal health plans can contribute to rising costs of premiums for enrollees and also increase the administrative costs for the Office of Personnel Management to run these major insurance programs for federal employees and retirees. For example, recently in, I believe, 2019, there was a report from OPM's Inspector General Office that called ineligible members of the Federal Employees Health Benefits Program a known area of substantial fraud. And then concerns about this escalated even further after there was a 2022 report from GAO finding that OPM did not have a clear way to either identify or remove ineligible family members, and that was costing up to $1 billion annually in the costs of running the FEHB program. So this has been going on for a long time and something that OPM has, in small steps, been trying to start addressing for many years now.
What are those previous steps? How have they tried to solve this problem?
Well, back in 2018 is when OPM first had some regulations about this, where they began requiring enrollees when they had a qualifying life event, or QLE in other terms. So this is, for instance, if someone gets married or has a child, the birth of a child, then in those cases, they would need to add that new family member onto their insurance plan. So in 2018 is when OPM began requiring during a qualifying life event for those enrollees to prove or verify that that person was truly who they say they were as their family member. But during open season, there's not that same requirement, or at least there wasn't for many years now. And then also later in 2024, after we saw that GAO report that talked about the spending on ineligible members, OPM began requiring validation of a random 10% sample of participants to try to weed out ineligible members of the program. But that requirement has not fully taken shape yet, according to OPM. They said due to a lot of transactions during the 2024 open season and then the staffing challenges in 2025, a lot of agencies didn't reach that 10% requirement. So that's something where it's a step that OPM said they'd be taking, but we haven't seen that take full effect yet.
So what are the current verification requirements then, and how will they change under this new final rule?
So as I mentioned, back in 2018 is when OPM began requiring the verifications for qualifying life events. This final rule is going to expand the verification process to also cover open season additions of family members onto insurance enrollees' health plans. So by expanding this, OPM is, one, fulfilling the obligations of a 2025 bill that was passed that asked them to create this process. And then also they said it's going to essentially reduce the presence of ineligible participants being newly added to the program.
And just to be clear, Drew, who are eligible and who are ineligible family members?
So family members, their eligibility, of course, depends on their relationship to the enrollee themselves, whether that's a current federal employee or a federal retiree. So, for example, an eligible dependent is a child who's under age 26, or a spouse, someone who is married to a federal employee, for example. But then if you have the grandchildren of a federal retiree, their parents, former spouses, if you had a divorce, or domestic partners, maybe you live with someone but you're not legally married to them, Those are all, according to OPM's regulations, those people are not authorized to receive the benefits through the government's health insurance programs. OPM has estimated that combined between the FEHB program and then also the postal insurance program, there are about 4 million family members who are total enrolled in the programs, and about 3% of those 4 million are estimated to be ineligible for the benefits.
So what does this all mean for FEHB enrollees in practical terms? What do they have to do next?
So this applies to enrollees in cases where they're looking to, again, add a new family member to their plan, whether that's during open season or any other time of the year when they experience a qualifying life event like getting married. They will have to provide documentation like either a marriage certificate, a tax return, a birth certificate, whatever is applicable. And OPM has a list of the documentation that would be required during those cases. And they would simply have to provide that information to OPM to confirm that their family members are eligible for the benefits and that they are indeed who they say they are. And the new process in OPM's estimate would require about 100,000 family members each year to be verified in this way, just based on trends we've seen over the past several years of how many family members do get added each year. OPM says that going forward, in addition to this verification process, they're also preparing to do an audit of all the currently enrolled family members. So looking into ineligible members there on top of ones that are looking to be added to enrollees plans here.
And this new rule is effective immediately, or is there some break-in period?
It's going to be about 30 days before the final rule takes effect, and that aligns with the legislation that we saw last year called the FEHB Protection Act, which required OPM to set this up by July 4th of 2026. So they're right on schedule here.
That's Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for sharing this update with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Terry.
You can find her story at federalnewsnetwork.com.